YouTube, we here today, as you can tell from the title, worst live TV deaths ever. It's by Simple Paint, our GOAT, you know what I'm saying? Like, Simple Paint been coming up in this world for real, Like, this came out 2 months ago, got 1.5 million views, so it gotta be a bang somewhere, somehow. I have no idea what they're about to show, but without further ado.
Incident. On April 15th, 1984, Tommy Cooper, a 63-year-old comedian, walked onto the stage at Her Majesty's Theatre in London. 12 million people were watching live from home on ITV.
Right.
Cooper was Britain's favorite comedian, and he was
12
known as the
million.
man who made magic tricks funny by getting them wrong. That evening, Cooper wore a red cloak as he prepared for his magic act. His assistant, Sandy Lawrence, helped him put on a red cloak. He thanked her. Little did he know that those would be his last words. As the show proceeded, the audience was already laughing. Suddenly, he slumped backward against the curtain. His body twisted. His legs twitched. The audience roared with laughter. They thought it was part of the act. Cooper was famous for physical comedy. This looked like another one of his brilliant gags. But behind the curtains, something was wrong. Cooper wasn't moving on cue. The routine was taking too long. Director Alistair McMillan realized immediately that something terrible had happened. He cut to an unscheduled commercial break, but they had to continue the show. Les Dennis and Dustin G were pushed onto the stage. They performed, while behind the curtains, people desperately tried to save Cooper's life. They tried to revive him, hitting his chest, trying CPR, but Cooper wasn't responding. He was later rushed to Westminster Hospital and was pronounced dead on arrival from a massive heart attack. Tommy Cooper died to roars of laughter, while 12 million people...
Twin died in the chat, and the audience didn't know, so they think it's just you being funny as hell type shit, and that's your last moments, literally your last moments. That is insane. I'm not gonna lie.
People thought it was just another joke. What many people also don't take seriously are their finances. Money slips away quietly, subscription by subscription, until it's gone. The Phoenix helicopter. On July 27th, 2007, two news helicopters were covering a police chase in Phoenix, Arizona. The helicopters belonged to KNX-VTV and KTVK. Both stations were broadcasting the pursuit live. It was
like
mid-afternoon,
last week.
a routine chase, the kind that happens frequently in major cities. The suspect was fleeing.
Like sometimes I go down TikTok rabbit holes and shit like that, bro. I literally seen this video, bro.
In a stolen vehicle. Police were following. The helicopters circled above, filming for their respective stations, providing aerial coverage. KTVK's helicopter carried pilot Scott Bowerbank and photographer Jim Cox. KNX-VTV's helicopter carried pilot Craig Smith and photographer Rick Krolak. All four were experienced professionals. They'd covered countless chases before. Around 12:46 p.m., the helicopters were over Steele Indian School Park in central Phoenix. The chase was active below. Cameras were rolling. Then disaster struck. The helicopters collided in midair. The rotor blades hit each other. Metal tore. The aircraft spun out of control. Viewers watching at home saw the helicopters in frame during the chase coverage. Then suddenly, both helicopters plummeted to the ground. They crashed in the park below.
Like, this is
One
insane.
hit near trees. The other crashed nearby. All four men died instantly. The impacts were catastrophic. There were no survivors. Miraculously, nobody on the ground was hurt. The academic interview. On September 12, 2018, Professor Rita Jitendra appeared live on Doordarshan's Good Morning J&K, an Indian television news channel. She was there to discuss political issues. Jitendra was a prominent academic and political analyst. She frequently appeared on news programs to provide expert commentary. The interview began normally. Jitendra sat in the studio discussing current events with the host. She was articulate, composed, answering questions thoughtfully. Then, mid-sentence, Jitendra stopped talking. Her expression changed. She tossed her head backward and gasped for air. The host immediately realized something was wrong and called for help. Cameras were still rolling, broadcasting live. Viewers watched as Jitendra struggled to breathe. She collapsed in her chair. Studio staff rushed over and called for medical assistance. Medics arrived quickly and rushed her to a nearby hospital. She'd suffered a massive cardiac arrest, but doctors couldn't save her. Rita Jitendra was pronounced dead shortly after arrival.
The incident she just died?
A prominent academic had died live on television in the middle of an interview while discussing ordinary political matters. The Breakfast Show incident. On November 13th, 1986, 24-year-old Michael Lush was rehearsing for a stunt on the BBC television program The Late Late Breakfast Show. The show, hosted by Noel Edmonds, was famous for its dangerous live challenges performed by members of the public. Lush had volunteered to perform a stunt called Hang 'em High, which involved bungee jumping from a box suspended about 120 feet above the ground.
Right.
It was supposed to be spectacular, daring, safe. During the rehearsal, Lush climbed into the metal box. The box was hoisted high into the air by a crane. He was secured to an elastic bungee cord by a carabiner clip fastened to an eye bolt inside the box. Crew members stood below, watching. Cameras were ready. Then came the signal. The box was released and Michael dropped. Suddenly, something went wrong. The clip detached from its mounting. The cord failed to stop his fall. He plunged 120 feet and struck the ground. The impact was catastrophic. He was killed instantly. The accident shocked Britain. The death of Michael Lush changed British television forever and ended the era of live, unregulated stunts. The sci-fi tragedy. On September 20th, 1996, 27-year-old actor Kenneth Keith Stedman was filming an episode of the science fiction series Sliders near El Mirage Dry Lake, California. The crew was shooting a desert chase scene.
I have no idea what this
Cameras rolled
is.
as Stedman drove a dune buggy across the barren expanse. It was a simple setup between takes. Then, out of nowhere, something went terribly wrong. The buggy hit uneven ground. It struck a hidden mound and flipped violently. The vehicle rolled over, throwing Stedman from the seat before crushing him underneath. Crew members screamed for help. Paramedics were called immediately, racing across the desert floor. But by the time they reached him, it was too late. Kenneth Keith Stedman was pronounced dead at a local hospital. The production was halted. The investigation confirmed it was a rollover accident.
If I'm in this situation, I mean, I'm pretty sure that maybe the car didn't look like this, but let's say the car did look like this. Me and my homie, if somebody stuck under that motherfucker, I can push that off, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure they already crushed the injury's already been done. You know what I'm saying? So regardless, he probably would have died right there. But I'm just saying.
No explosions or pyrotechnics had occurred. Just a tragic miscalculation. His death sent a jolt through Hollywood. It reminded everyone that even the simplest scene could turn fatal in an instant.
Yeah.
The skiing disaster. On January 29th, 1994,
did I see this?
Austrian ski champion Ulrike Meyer
was this when the person got
top
split?
of the Kandahar downhill course in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany. Cameras were rolling for a live World Cup broadcast. Meyer was a 26-year-old, fearless and focused. She was a two-time Super G champion. That day, she adjusted her goggles. Everywhere fell silent. Just as the signal sounded, she pushed off. Her speed built instantly, about 62 miles per hour. She sliced through the course, every movement precise. But as she hit one of the fastest sections, something went wrong. Her ski caught an edge. In a split second, Meyer lost control. Initially, it was believed she struck a timing post, but later investigation concluded she likely broke her neck upon hitting the ground, not from a post impact. She then slammed into the safety netting with tremendous force. The sound was sickening. Rescuers rushed to her side. Medical teams tried to revive her, but Ulrike Meyer never regained consciousness. She was pronounced dead shortly after reaching the hospital in Murnau. The entire crash had unfolded on live television. The world of skiing was shattered. In the aftermath, officials redesigned courses, strengthened safety nets, and implemented stricter standards. But no change could undo what the world had witnessed that day. A champion's final run, broadcast live to millions. The Challenger disaster. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger was scheduled to launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It was the 25th shuttle mission. 7 astronauts were on board. The launch was special because one crew member was Krista McAuliffe, a teacher. She was the first civilian selected to go to space. Schools across America tuned in. Classrooms filled with students watching live. Everyone was excited, inspired. Space exploration was coming to their classrooms. It was a cold morning. Temperatures had dropped to 36 degrees the night before. Engineers expressed concerns about O-rings in the solid rocket boosters. Cold weather could compromise the seals, but the decision was made to proceed with the launch. At 11:38 a.m., the countdown reached 0. The shuttle's engines ignited. Flames and smoke billowed. Challenger lifted off. It rose into the clear blue sky. Everything looked perfect. Students cheered in classrooms across the country. It was 73 seconds into the flight. Then, disaster struck. At approximately 11:39 a.m., Challenger exploded. A massive fireball erupted. For a moment, nobody understood what happened. The crowds at Kennedy Space Center stood in stunned silence. On television, commentators fell silent. The camera stayed on the smoke trail. The 7 astronauts were dead. Commander Dick Scobie, pilot Michael J. Smith, mission specialists Judith Resnick, Ellison Onizuka, and Ronald McNair, payload specialist Gregory Jarvis, and teacher Krista McAuliffe, all gone in an instant. The spacecraft fell for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, crashing into the Atlantic Ocean at over 200 miles per hour. The investigation revealed the O-rings had failed, just as engineers feared. And
Just
like
as I
that,
fear.
a moment of hope turned into a moment of horror that defined a generation. The superhero wrestler. On May 23, 1999, wrestler Owen Hart was scheduled to perform at the
One of my goats, bro. WWE. Yes. R.I.P. Owen Hart, bro. R.I.P. Owen Hart, bro.
WWF's Over the Edge pay-per-view event in Kansas City, Missouri. Hart was performing as his alter ego, the Blue Blazer, a superhero character. The entrance was supposed to be spectacular. Hart would be lowered from the rafters on a cable, descend into the ring. The crowd would love it. Hart was 34 years old, an experienced wrestler, but he'd expressed concerns about the stunt to friends. He didn't like heights. He thought the harness looked unsafe, but it was part of the show, part of the performance.
Dog.
Around 8 p.m., Hart was hoisted into the rafters of Kemper Arena. He was 78 feet above the ring, over 6.
It's so bad when they have like a suspicion or like when they have a feeling. Like it's even worse, bro.
16,000 people were in attendance. The plan was for Hart to descend
16,000.
partway, then pretend the cable malfunctioned. He was attached to a quick-release harness, the kind used for quick escapes, but it was the wrong equipment for this stunt. The release mechanism was too sensitive. As Hart was being moved into position, something went wrong. The quick-release mechanism triggered accidentally. The harness opened, causing Hart to fall. He plummeted 78 feet and fell straight down into the ring. His chest struck the top rope. Hart tumbled into the ring and lay motionless. The impact was destructive. At first, the crowd thought it was part of the act. Some laughed, others cheered. But EMTs rushed to the ring immediately. They knew this wasn't planned. Hart wasn't moving or breathing. They began CPR. That was when the fans knew that something terrible had happened. The festive atmosphere turned to shock and
this is
silence.
insane.
Hart was placed on a stretcher. He was rushed to Truman Medical Center, but his aorta had been severed. He died from internal bleeding. He was pronounced dead at 8:20 p.m. The reality show. On November 27, 2019, actor and model Godfrey Gao was filming the Chinese reality show Chase Me in Ningbo, Zhejiang Province.
Okay.
The show was a physically demanding competition.
This
Contestants
was like around the same time as American Ninja Hero, I think it's called, or Ninja something.
ran, chased each other, and completed challenges. It was exhausting.
And
work.
American
They'd been
Ninja
filming
Warriors.
since early in the day. Gao was 35 years old, a successful model and actor. He'd appeared in The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones.
Is that
He was in
Vecna?
excellent physical shape, athletic, healthy. Around 1 a.m., after hours of filming, Gao was running a segment. He'd been going for hours. The production schedule was grueling. Participants got minimal rest between challenges. Suddenly, Gao slowed down. He put his hand to his head, looked unsteady. Then he collapsed, fell face first
What
onto
happened?
the floor. Cameras were still rolling. Other contestants rushed over. At first, some thought he was joking, but Gao wasn't moving. He wasn't responding. Production staff called for medical help. They tried to revive him.
He just
started
died?
CPR, but
What
Gao
happened?
remained unconscious. An ambulance was called, but it took time to arrive. He was rushed to the hospital, but he'd suffered sudden cardiac arrest. Despite efforts to save him, Gao was pronounced dead at 4 a.m. His death became a catalyst for change, a tragedy that exposed the dark side of reality television production, where the quest for dramatic content could literally cost lives. The fall on set. On June 8, 2019, a 90-year-old legendary Philippine actor Eddie Garcia was filming the television drama Rosang Agamat in Manila.
Okay.
He was a legend in Philippine cinema. For over 7 decades, Garcia had been a fixture on screen. He'd played heroes, villains, soldiers, fathers, more than 600 film and television
Okay.
appearances. The crew admired him. Younger actors looked up to him. Everyone wanted to be around Manoy, as he was fondly called. That day's scene seemed simple. Just a short walk during an outdoor shoot in Tondo, Manila. Garcia walked into frame. Then suddenly, he stumbled. A cable lay across the ground. It was part of the production's lighting setup, but his foot was caught on it. In that instant, Garcia tripped forward, hit the pavement hard, and went completely still. Crew members rushed over. At first, they thought it was just a simple fall, but something was wrong. He wasn't moving. The impact
Dog.
had broken his neck, a severe cervical spine fracture between the first and second vertebrae. The paramedics arrived,
Dog.
and he was rushed to
Even
the hospital.
even a simple cable cord being on the floor can cause like, dog. I don't know why these companies don't just be more safer, bro.
Early reports claimed he'd had a heart attack, but doctors later confirmed that it was blunt trauma from the fall. Garcia was placed on life support. For 12 days, his family waited by his bedside. Messages poured in from across the country, from actors, politicians, fans, all hoping for a miracle, but it never came. On June 20th, 2019, Eddie Garcia was pronounced dead from the injury. The morning news tragedy. On August 26, 2015, reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were doing a routine morning live broadcast at Bridgewater Plaza near Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. It was 6:45 a.m. Parker was interviewing Vicky Gardner about local tourism. The camera was live. People were watching at home over their morning coffee. Then suddenly, gunshots rang out. 8 rapid shots in rapid succession. Parker screamed and ran. The camera shook violently, fell, and the feed cut to black. Back in the studio, anchor Kimberly McBroom looked shocked, confused. She didn't know what had just happened. Neither did viewers.
Yo.
The shooter was Vester Lee Flanagan, a former WDBJ reporter who'd been fired from the station 2 years earlier. He'd harbored resentment. That morning, he'd approached the live broadcast with a gun. He shot Parker first, multiple times. She tried running but collapsed, then turned to Ward and shot him while filming. He also shot Vicky Gardner, who survived her injuries. After the attack, Flanagan fled and posted his own video to social media while driving. Some hours later, the police caught up with him. He took his own life during the chase. Allison Parker and Adam Ward died at the scene. The Cavett Show. On June 8, 1971, the Dick Cavett Show was filmed at ABC Studios in New York City. The guest list that day was impressive. Writers, thinkers, celebrities. Among them sat J.Y. Rodale, a 72-year-old publisher and founder of Organic Gardening magazine. He was a pioneer of the organic food movement. Rodale was cheerful, lively, and proud of his work. During his interview, he spoke passionately about health, vitality, and the benefits of natural living. He joked that he would live to be 100. The audience laughed. Cavett smiled. Everything seemed perfectly ordinary. When his segment ended, Rodale stayed on stage as the next guest was introduced. The conversation continued. Cameras kept rolling.
Why motherfuckers sound like they don't believe him?
Something changed. Rodale leaned back in his chair. His head dropped. He stopped breathing. For a moment, the audience thought he was joking. Maybe a part of the show's dry humor.
They always think they're joking.
But Cavett noticed something was wrong. He turned and saw Rodale motionless and eyes closed. At that moment, the laughter faded. Crew members rushed to his side. Medical staff tried to revive him, but J.I. Rodale was already gone.
What is that
suffered a massive heart attack, dying instantly right there on the studio floor. Later, Dick Cavett described it as one of the most unthinkable moments of his career. If you'd like to see more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.
What is that timing? What is that timing? Like, yo, dog, him saying like he gonna live to 100, bro, and then moments later, literally dying right there, like heart attack. That is actually truly insane. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, to be honest. Like, that shit really do go down that bad, bro. Damn, twin. Like, shit really does happen. You really just never know when your time is here, bro. It could be tomorrow. It could be in the most unexpected situation possible. It could be in a situation where you're like, bro, why would I die? Like, why would I die right now? Like, come on now, bro. Let me, you know what I'm saying? This big ass dog just ran out the house, bro. This other big dog is not gonna kill my dog, bro. Let me, you know what I'm saying? Why would I die in this situation, bro? I'm literally only like 19. And you will die right there, bro. Like, literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no age limit, no day, there's no time of day. It's just random. Like, death just comes randomly. I just ask and pray that you guys do be very careful out there. Very careful, bro. Because some of these deaths, I mean, all of them were just unfortunate, and all of them were just kind of like like, you couldn't really fix it. Like, it couldn't have been like changed. It kind of just happened in a very unfortunate way. Dog, this is truly insane. But I hope you guys do be very careful out there. Where's my tags? All right, there it is. All right. If you guys did enjoy the video, you know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And we out.